ho! Jolly old Big Ten Claus has come to give Christmas gifts to the good and even the bad of the Big Ten Conference. If you haven't already, great time to subscribe to the channel. Big Ten content every single day, even Christmas. Crush that like button to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses. Just want to wish everybody out there a very Merry Christmas. Appreciate all the love and support in 2022. It's been a fantastic season for the good and even the bad of the Big Ten Conference. And now it's time to hand out gifts to all 14 member schools in the Big Ten Conference. What gifts would give them optimism headed towards 2023? Let's start first with the Michigan Wolverines. You need to keep your coach in Ann Arbor, Michigan. How about a pair of handcuffs to handcuff him to the goalpost so he doesn't leave for another alma mater type project and the Indianapolis Colts? Look, Jim Harbaugh is the life. He's the soul of this Michigan program, and since he's been here, he's taken them to a new stratosphere. Michigan is doing good things continuously, replacing their great talent that goes on to the NFL. They're producing great talent. They're bringing in great talent. You need to keep him in at the University of Michigan. Now, I don't think after flirting with the Minnesota Vikings last season, look, even though he played with the Colts, even though he's got a connection with the Colts, it just doesn't seem like leaving Michigan would be a very smart thing at this point in time. How about Rutgers? You've got a quarterback for the future, and you need to try to develop him. You need a quarterback wizard, because Greg Schiano has proven he can do things on defense. He can create a tough and physical team up front. Hey, they can even run the ball at times. Look, you've got a guy in Gavin Wimsatt that I think you've identified as the future of Rutgers football, the quarterback position. Whether that person is on staff or whether that person has yet to be on the staff, a guy that can really develop and take Gavin Wimsatt to the next level, I think would be beneficial for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. How about Nebraska? You need a good old-fashioned tackle box, right? If this team would have tackled a little bit better earlier in the season, they might be playing in a bowl game at this point of year, but it didn't happen that way. This team missed tackles all over the place. Now, when Bill Busch took over, this defense got better, but when you reach inside your tackle box, sometimes you find things that you haven't used in a while or you haven't seen in a while. And that's where Nebraska needs to reach. You need to reach into things, the toughness, the physicality, the running game that really hasn't been a part of Nebraska football for some time. Try to reach in there and instill the values of yesteryear. Reach into that tackle box and grab things that the Nebraska Cornhuskers used to rely on to win football games. Purdue and Illinois is kind of a combo gift. I'm going to gift you a transfer quarterback. It could be Hudson Card. It could be Luke Altmaier. It could be Grayson McCall. It could be any transfer quarterback. You look at these two schools, I believe, based on the success that they had this last season, a transfer quarterback coming into the program would continue that success as both the Boilermakers and the Illini trudge forward throughout the Big Ten Conference, especially Illinois. I think what they have on defense and the receivers they have in Champaign, even you look at Purdue with a solid team coming back, even a new coaching staff, I think both could benefit from transfer quarterbacks. Northwestern, well, you just need a little bit of jolly, right? You need hope. I'm going to gift you that because right now, look, when you gift gifts, a lot of times it's things that person doesn't have. And Northwestern doesn't have a lot of hope right now. Northwestern doesn't have a lot of optimism. And I just want Northwestern fans to grab onto something. I want Northwestern fans to really be happy about something. Because after Malik Washington transferred to Virginia, Evan Hull and Peter Skoronski go to the NFL. That defense was one of the worst in the Big Ten this season. You just need some hope. I think if you're going to latch onto something, it's that you've had decent middle of the road in the Big Ten recruiting classes the past couple of seasons. You just might need time as well. How about Maryland? I think Maryland, you need health and consistency. Because Taulia Tagovailoa, the last couple of seasons, health has kind of deterred some of the progression at some points during the season when he hasn't been able to play, and sometimes when he has been able to play and he hasn't been 100%, and consistency. Look, sometimes Taulia Tagovailoa is really, really good. Sometimes he's fine. Sometimes he throws a lot of interceptions. This year, sometimes you throw the ball a lot. Sometimes you run the ball a good amount. I just want some consistency. What is consistency right now for Maryland? Is it 6 wins? Is it 7 wins? Can you go up to 8 wins? Where is consistency? I would just like to find that. And being the great Big Ten Claus that I am, I'm going to gift them that. Minnesota, I'm going to gift you a friendlier local media. Look, there are local media outlets here around the Twin Cities that just aren't very nice to PJ Fleck. What PJ has been able to do at Minnesota and make 8 wins the standard and continue to go up from that, it's something that should really be celebrated here in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. Look, this is a market where there's a lot more attention put on their professional sports. Look, their college sports teams haven't been great for a majority of the time for the last 50 or 60 years, really ever since those great Gopher teams of the 1960s. And it's baffling. It's sometimes downright comedy how these writers continue to try to bring down PJ Fleck. Like, look, you have a program that's doing decent. Remember when Wisconsin beat Minnesota for 10 plus straight seasons? And now the Gophers have won 3 out of 5 against the Badgers? You can't have it all. You can't have 10 wins every single year. You're not Michigan. You're not Ohio State. You're not Penn State. Minnesota is doing just fine. How about Ohio State? I want to gift you a college football playoff semifinal victory, kid, to get all those Ryan Day haters off your back, and possibly a chance for revenge against the University of Michigan. Ohio State would love nothing more for Christmas than to receive a revenge opportunity to take down the Michigan Wolverines in the national championship game. Look, they're going to need many gifts from not only Big Ten Claus, but from the University of Georgia, I think, to knock off the Georgia Bulldogs. How about Iowa? I want to gift you a fresh football perspective. That could come from coaching moves. That could come from a lot of different places. But they just need some sort of fresh perspective in the room. Maybe it's Cade McNamara and Eric All bringing that perspective, that winning perspective from the University of Michigan, and bringing that to Iowa City when they join the Iowa Hawkeyes and really start practicing, really start getting into the groove once we get to winter workouts and spring ball. Maybe it's moving around Brian Ferentz. Maybe it's moving him back to offensive line coach and bringing in a new offensive coordinator. No matter what it is, Iowa needs a fresh perspective. There's been a lot of stagnancy. There's been a lot of status quo in the way Iowa operates with the Ferentzes in charge. Just another fresh perspective, especially on offense, might add some things to this Iowa football program. How about Indiana? Indiana would like to forget that their football program exists sometimes, and this year was one of those times. I'm going to gift you basketball success because that's where especially with Purdue and Indiana, that's where Indiana is diverting their attention right now. The Hoosiers, Indiana, let's call it as it is. They're a basketball school. Some basketball success, particularly in March, would be beneficial for all those in Bloomington, Indiana. Michigan State. I'm going to gift you tempered expectations. Look, you won 11 games a couple of years back, and that was great. Big thumbs up to everybody involved in that season at Michigan State. But this year you dropped down to 5 wins. Look, you're not Penn State. You're not Michigan. You're not Ohio State. They're not recruiting at that level, just a notch below. So where is Penn State? Where is Ohio State? Where is Michigan? They're at 11 and 10 wins. A notch below that is 9 to 8 wins every season. I think that's where the expectation should be right now for Michigan State football. Look, if you win 7 games, if you win 8 games, that should not be a disappointment right now. Look, they're recruiting well. Transfer portal, they're bringing in a lot of guys. Once again, there goes Mel Tucker and that transfer portal trying to really shake things up in East Lansing. This team needs to get better on defense, but you need to manage your expectations. Look, Peyton Thorne, he's fine at quarterback. Jalen Berger's not a game breaker in the backfield. You're losing some guys at wide receiver. Just temper your expectations a little bit. For Wisconsin, I am gifting the Badgers Braylon Allen's cooperation. Look, you're bringing in an offensive coordinator from North Carolina that likes to pitch the ball around the yard. They like to throw it around air raid type of style, something that's really going to shock a lot of people around this Wisconsin program. Braylon Allen's cooperation is something that I think is very important right now. Look, as of right now, it looks like he's not going to transfer, but in spring ball, if you come out and you're talking throwing the ball 40 times and Nick Evers and this receiving core is the focal point of your offense, maybe Braylon Allen won't be so thrilled about that. So his cooperation and all of this, I think, is very important. So gifting him that, I think, might make the transition a little bit easier in Madison. And, this coaching staff has got to pay it back a little bit to him and maybe run the ball 20-ish times a game to make him happy in some of these games next season in 2023. Lastly, I'm going to finish with Penn State. Penn State, I am gifting you a gift from the television lords. I'm gifting you the Michigan-Penn State game to be a whiteout night game next season. Look, no team has been better the last couple of years than the University of Michigan. Usually that Penn State-Ohio State game is the whiteout. This year, Penn State and Ohio State was big noon kickoff, so it went to Minnesota, which wasn't much of a game at all. Right now, Michigan and Penn State would be a big-time matchup, especially with some new television partners coming in as well. So, primetime Wolverines, Nittany Lions later in the season, that could be some primetime television. I'm Big Ten Claus. Merry Christmas to all of you out there in Big Ten country, even to those of you coming in 2024 out west in California. I'm Big Ten Claus, and we'll see you next year.